Hello and welcome back to My Toy Monday. Yeah, I know that's forcing it a little bit, right? Believe it or not, I've been working on this review ever since Thursday. I totally wanted it to be Toy Thursday, but this one, there were so many photos to take. You'll know what I mean when we get to the photos, but yeah, opening the show today we have Elgar the Dragonborn, which we reviewed in our last toy review. And if some of you have watched that review, you would remember that I was of mixed feeling about Elgar. If he was a $50 figure, he would be really, really decent. But at somewhere around $80 to $100, he leaves a lot to be desired. So why is he back again opening the show? Because the figure we are going to be looking at today is both similar to Elgar in that she's also some kind of a dragon, but at the same time she's like the polar opposite to Elgar. She's a lot cuter to start with, and also the figure today is a good example of if you want to charge me $70 to $100, this is how you do it right. Without further ado, let's check out her box. Or I mean, you know what I mean. When I first got this figure in my hand, at least the box, I remember the feeling of, wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought. I mean, I kind of expected it to be small because, he's a 6-inch waifu style figure. I was thinking, okay, maybe the size of the kind of box used by snail shells, like for their Lastja figure. But this one was huge and you'll soon see why. But honestly, I wasn't expecting the box to be the size of a Storm collectible large action figure. I mean, heck, I hadn't even opened the box yet, and I already knew this was $72 well spent. So before we look at the figure herself, I want to draw your attention to this base that she comes with. I mean, this is just one piece of the accessory, and this is the base that everything else attach onto or sit on. It's about the size of a, well, you can get a sense of it with my hand. It's pretty large. Like, it's just slightly smaller than a VCR tape. Or to put it into perspective, if you guys ever taken out a hard drive from the inside of your computer, right? This is about that size. Like the size of a computer hard drive. It's a pretty large base. And what's really cool, there's all these holes that you can attach the flight stand to, so you can have it in different positions. There's a little bit of details in the front, and you can open this up. Let me do this carefully. Set this piece aside, and you can see the inside. You can put all her stuff. This is like really, really awesome. Like, probably one of the best action figure bases that I have encountered. This piece alone, in my opinion, uh, kind of justifies her price of $72, right? Uh, you don't have to worry about all the extra stuff going missing or having to get a baggie for them or all that stuff. It's all nice and contained inside this nice space. Now let me start putting things on the base so you guys can see what all goes on there. Number one, we have this Chinese dressing screen. This is quite large as well, and it's articulated in the middle. Right? This is really cool. Um, you can put it anywhere you want, depending on if you want her to be behind the screen or in front of the screen. I like to have it like in the back like this, sort of to act as a little bit of a backdrop. And then we have, where is it? Hold on, blind moment. Uh, this is a flight stand. Okay, this thing was a bit of a pain in the butt. I know that Cang Toy, which is the company that makes this figure, they make a model kits. So this kind of was like a throwback to their model kit. It was attached to the spools, like little branches that your model kits come in. Like sometimes the little pieces are attached to, and you got to take it off and then try to put it together yourself. And the pieces were so small that by the time I was done, my hands were literally cramping. God, that makes me sound like a pussy. Yeah. So we are going to put this in, yeah, nice and tight, right, nice and tight. And you can see this is a really tall stand, really tall flight stand, um, because she is not really a small figure. Next, we have this like a sword stand. You can put her sword there or her fan. I usually use this to hold her fan. Now, there's nothing to hold it on the base. This is one thing I'll complain about. The this sword stand and this stool, nice little oriental stool, right? These things have no way to attach to the base. So I mean, when you're taking photos, it's okay, but if you are trying to move it around, then it's just constantly falling off. So what I did was I put some twisty ties around one of the legs of the stool and bunched the bottom up like this, so you can slide that into one of the holes. And now, see, it's not going to fall off. Okay, same thing with the sword stand. I wish there was a table to put this onto because having this on the floor is a little bit weird. But again, I put some twist tied on under one corner so you can push that into the stand. And now, see, everything's nice and anchored. Nothing is going to fall off when you try to move the whole thing, right? Now, let's put our dragon girl on the stand and we'll start talking about Loong the Dragon Girl. So, who is Loom the Dragon Girl, or aka the Little Green Dragon or the Azure Dragon? Well, she is from Cang Toy, and she is priced around anywhere between 72 US to $100 US, depending on where you get her from. She is part of the 12 War series, which is a series comprised of the Western Zodiac and the Eastern Zodiac. And so we can, if they keep making them, we can look forward to 24 sexy ladies all together. They're going to be female warriors from the Chinese Zodiac, 12 of them, the female warriors from the Western Zodiac. In fact, the next one after Loom the Dragon Girl is Mora the Capricorn, and I am looking forward to that. Um, so the story is a very simple one. You know, these girls, these ladies, they are just doing their own thing, but suddenly the world is getting invaded. There are gateways opening, allowing evil forces to come and take over the world, and destiny calls, and some dungeon master or whoever, call them and say, hey, you are the destined ancient warrior of your zodiac, so now you have to go fight for the world and do it in sexy uh, bikinis or barely there outfit to just to make people happy, whatever. Yeah, really, really lame storyline, but honestly, I didn't really need a storyline with this. Just the fact that she's based off of Zodiac. Um, I grew up watching Knights of the Zodiac or Saint Seiya, Saint Seiya, for those who know the anime. I have always been into warriors based off of Zodiac. I was really sad when McFarlane's Warriors of the Zodiac line ended prematurely, as it's prone to happen to almost anything McFarlane. The guy almost never finished anything. Um, and also, some of you that have been following my artwork knows that my solo project is called Zodiac Crossroad, and it is artworks based off of the Eastern and Western zodiacs. So because of all that stuff, and then because she's Chinese, and I just kind of feel obligated to lean toward Chinese characters because of my heritage, I bought her, even though I didn't know anything about the company. I didn't know what to expect. I just spent $72 getting a figure that I knew nothing about. So, what do I think? Well, let's look at the positive stuff first. She comes with such a great diorama display, right? I've already showed you guys the stand, the stool, the flight stand, the screen. Okay, she got a very good build on her. Like we are looking at the back of her body. You can see her hair, this braid, these braids are articulated. That's really cool, right? And one thing I will say, she is very spiky. Okay, that's like we'll talk more about that in the flaw section. Um, her curves. Okay, don't want to sound too pervy, but she is really curvy. She is one of the most voluptuous action figures in this scale that in my collection. I wouldn't say she is the most voluptuous because that title would still go to the Z-Ray Studio ladies. But Loom the Dragon Girl really got some curves on her, and yeah, I like that in female figures that she's not stick thin. Like to me, she is way better built than a Lustra, the succubus from Snail Shell. Right, that one's kind of skinny and small. This one actually has some meat on her. And look at that huge dragon tail. Okay, this tail is attached to the back of her body, and it's kind of bendy, although you know, it doesn't want to hold its shape unless you get a little bit more extreme with it because the plastic they use is really stiff. Oh yeah, I forgot to put her fan on the stand. But look at this fan that she comes with. Right? How big this is. Holding it against her body, it almost blocks her entire body, right? This is a really large weapon. You can put it on the stand like that. Okay, so just on the offset, okay, we got a relatively large female, not large as in fat, but like with her tail and her curves, she's definitely quite large. Uh, Especially when you compare her to a lot of the figures, even from like female figures from Marvel Legend, and even like Mythic Legion. Excuse the hand. I'm just going to turn her without turning off the camera. There we go. I like to sort of position her tail over the arm of the stand to make it look like her tail's like curled around the flight stand like that. Right? Okay. Look at the front. Right? I did say she is very uh, blessed. She is a very blessed lady. Um, Now, for those of you who want to ask, no, her clothes don't come off, at least not in the you can display her naked way. And she does come with a separate skirt piece that you can replace for when you want her to sit in her stool. You'll see that when we show her photos. So she's got several pieces of large scenery display pieces. Okay, she got this large fan weapon, um, and then this is kind of annoying me a little bit because it keep falling off the base. Mhm. Yeah, mostly it's because the fan is heavy, right? Um, and then she got this sword, which on its own it's not super big or impressive, but okay, she come with this flame effect for the sword, so you can get her to hold a flaming sword like that, and this effect stay on the blade really well. Okay, what really cool too is if we take this fan and you can take the handle of the fan off the fan blade. I'm trying to do it carefully because I have no wish of breaking anything here. Okay, now we have one piece here. This is the bottom of the fan, and then here top of the fan. We put this top of the fan back on the stand for now. Aye. Yeah, it's really heavy. So heavier than the stand that it sits on. Okay, so now we have this piece that just come from the bottom of the fan. It's articulated. We click this together. Now, what is this? This is a sheath to her sword. Okay, hmm there we go. Now we got a sword in the sheath. So basically, you take off the sword, or she draws her sword, and then you can take the sheath and turn it into the handle piece for the fan. This actually took me a little bit to figure out how to do because being blind, I can't read the instruction, so it was a little bit of an interesting experience. But once you get it, yeah, there we go. Now, it is a little bit too heavy for her to hold, but if you don't want her to hold it up high, she can do it, right? For the most part, her articulation is good. Um, in that the articulation points are there, and none of them were really like stuck or hard to move. But unfortunately, they don't work as good as they should. Uh, Again, we'll talk more about that in the flaw section. For now, I want to sort of focus more on her good attributes. Okay, you are getting a very beautiful, very curvy, uh, aesthetically pleasing action figure uh, with a very cool design and a lot of large pieces, sceneries, and weapons and accessories that come with her. I imagine if you want to put a couple of LED lights inside her base, it can actually do some crazy things to light her up as well. Um, so as far as visuals and aesthetics go, funny I just said visual. Hey, I'm a I'm blind, but I can still appreciate that she probably got very striking visual. Um, I think her strengths are that like her accessories are great, the visual is very strong, the display value is really high, and she has this really cool base that will store all her extra stuff in it. Now we'll take a look at some posing photos and accessory photos before we come back. And I'll talk about why, despite how much I liked her, she did not make it onto the list of figure of the year. I kind of wanted to make her the figure of the year just based on her accessories alone. I mean, not very often that I have a figure that come with this much stuff, not counting some of the troop builder things from GI Joe, Classified, or those crazy Axie toys dinosaurs that come with like a gazillion little pieces. But this figure come with things that are actually sensible and different. To start with, she comes with 8 different hands, 2 of which are for her alternate right arm, which is more dragon-like and armored for her battle mode. She also has an alternate hair piece that has flame effect on it, 4 face plates with different expressions. She comes with a large base that can store all her accessories. I love that. Every figure should come with that. An articulated flight stand that you have to unfortunately assemble yourself. My hands were cramping after I was done putting that together. A stand for her sword or her fan. A large folding fan that can combine with her sword sheath to form the entire weapon. A smoking pipe. A long sword. The sheath for that long sword. A flame effect for that long sword. And a stool for her to sit on. And speaking of sitting, she also have an alternate skirt piece for when you want her to be in that sitting pose. So yeah, this figure is just simply loaded down with accessories. Oh yeah, depending on how you look at it, her bracelets are also detachable, so you can count those as accessories as well. Her very large dragon tail, which is spandy, is also detachable, so that is also one of her accessories. Honestly, when I or so let me say, before I started taking photos and shooting video, I was really thinking that she would be one of the strongest contenders for figure of the year. But unfortunately, she pissed me off so much during photo shoots and during posing that I just changed my mind. I can't recommend her as a figure of the year. She's great, but she has some very serious flaws about her. Number one of her flaw is she, well, if you remember what I call figures that it's, everything's falling off all the time, say it with me. Lili Lala. Okay, this is the queen of Lili Lala. Okay, just look at the fan, there's everything like not really well attached, and her wrist is falling, her hand is falling off all the time. Now I just have to reattach that again. Handling this figure is so frustrating because every time you try to move something, every time you try to pose something, every time you try to change something, it's like the head's falling off, the arms falling off, the hands are falling off. And what really pissed me off and sealed the deal of not having her as figure of the year is during one time I was posing her arm and her wrist popped off and one of her bracelets went missing. Those bracelets are so small that they're basically the size of those backings and earrings, except they're totally flat. Okay, they're not even like thick or anything. They're like totally flat and tiny, like a piece of fingernail. Having that go missing because the hand fell off when I didn't want it to fall off It's so frustrating, especially when you consider that, $72 figure, $100 figure, you shouldn't lose accessory like that. I had the same issue with the ring on Lustrous, the succubus's horn from Snail Shell. Like 2 minutes out of the box, and the ring already fell off and went missing. Like, honestly, company, when you have things that small, that delicate, just sculpt it on. Don't make it so like the first time the figure fall on the floor, it's going to go missing. That's just not cool. Okay, so she's Lily Lala to the extreme. Things fall off, things don't stay attached, and also these little doodads in front of her hip. This is not part of her leg. This is like just glued onto her skirt. So she can't really move her leg forward unless you want to move her leg out and then have her come up, and then you're always worried that it's going to break off those little doodads on her dress. Um, so like why would you even go to the trouble of including a skirt piece so she can sit in her stool when her articulation basically means she can't really sit in her stool. Yeah, it's crazy. Another problem that I ran into with this figure is she has a lot of little pointy bits on her, and they're hard plastic, and they are not very durable. Okay, um, let me bring her in closer, doing it carefully. This piece in front of her right shoulder, this sharp little piece right here, okay, in front of her shoulder, like a piece of armor or something. Yeah, she's very squeaky when you're posing her on the stand. That piece actually broke off just from me grabbing her shoulder to move her to a different position. Like I didn't even put any pressure, and it just popped off like that. And I had to secure it back on. And see, now I'm trying to move her arm and stuff. The hand is constantly falling off. Yeah, this is it's really it's one of those figures that pose her on the shelf. Make sure she's in the back, because you don't want her to fall off the shelf. Make sure she's in the back. Leave her alone. Don't touch her, because every time you try to mess with her, things fall off, and just as you get them back on, something else will fall off. Those little points on her armor, on her hair, on her weapon, they are very sharp. You can actually hurt yourself on them. That's how sharp they are. And if you grab them the wrong way, they will snap off. Or if you fall off the shelf, they will snap off. So breakage is a real problem that you have to concern yourself with a figure like this that is so delicate. Um, One more issue I have with a figure like her is, let me bring her closer. I'm actually going to take her off the stand and bring her in so you guys can get an idea of like what I'm talking about. So her chest is great, okay? Her thighs, great. Her stature is pretty cool. But she has no shoulder on her. Like a lot of these waifu style figures, I don't know, it's like, what do people have against shoulders, right? Like without proper shoulders and proper size arm, she got a bit of that T-Rex thing going on. Like her tits are almost bigger than her arms, right? It's yeah, I know it's not supposed to be realistic. It's a like anime style, that kind of stuff. But still, like I would like it if she was less of a got less of a T-Rex arm going on, because that to me is not attractive on a female action figure when they have tiny little arms like that. It's especially when she's supposed to be a dragon warrior that defends humanity or stuff like that. Like you can take any of the 6-inch, 7-inch female figures and compare them with these waifu figures, and you will notice that these ladies really have some tiny arm syndrome going on. Okay, I had such high hope for this lady, and I still I really love this figure, but there's just enough problem there to make me say she is definitely very high maintenance. Now stay a little bit, and I'll give you my final word. We'll look at some size comparison video, and I'll bid you farewell. As much as I love this figure and really want to name her the figure of the year, I can't in good conscience do that because she has way too many problems like the ones mentioned above, and also she really pissed me off a lot when I was posting her for photos. But despite all that, I really do love this figure. Being the first figure from Cang Toys that I owned, I was so impressed by Loong the Dragon Girl that I went ahead and pre-ordered Mura, the Capricorn Girl, which will be here very, very soon. And I'm very excited about that because being a Capricorn myself, this Dragon Girl displays really well with other figures. She's a little bit larger than your average Marvel Legends females, standing about 6.5 to 6.75 of an inch. And with her tail and large weapons, she does take up quite a bit of room and have a great shelf presence. Thank you for checking out today's review. We'll be back again later.